Hey there, good morning. Welcome to Hiker Homily for the week of May 7th. That's Hiker Homily number 19. We're moving along here in the year. And so, as an intro, I just wanted to get a couple of things out there. I forgot to mention it last week. If you remember, um, two Hiker Homilies ago, I talked about ticks and what to look for, and that this is kind of the season and stuff like that. And then that following weekend, I went into the foothills with the Boy Scouts up to New Hogan Reservoir, where we did do the River of Skulls Nature Trail. Quick little trail that was good for some of the beginning hikers in the troop, the new kids that have joined us and things like that. And while on that one, I was able to show the troop, and some of them kind of like, and from then on they were like watching every blade of grass and stuff like that. But it was indeed tick season. I was able to actually show them ticks on the end of a blade of grass, ready to go, ready to try and latch on and stuff, and everybody was doing tick checks on themselves when we got back to camp. It's a good practice to teach, but they got to see it firsthand, so it's hard to see in the picture that I'll put up. But there's a little tick there on that one. I got a picture of them, but they were all over the place. That wasn't the only one. There were many out there. It was pretty amazing that I had just kind of talked on that subject, and there it is. The season is there, and even here in California, we're not known for too bad of a tick territory because we don't get the humidity that like the South does and things like that. But they're still here. We still have them. You still have to watch for them, and that proves it. Some of the, especially the foothill trails and stuff, they are there. So watch for those, and if you haven't checked it out, please check out that Hiker Homily 2 weeks ago. So the end of April, that Hiker Homily, that's what I talked about, was the subject of ticks. I also wanted to give a shout out to a fellow YouTuber who's just started a channel. He's also got a Facebook page now, and that is Adventure in the Heartland. Give him a check, give him a like and a subscribe if you will. He's got some fun hiking videos on there so far. I've checked out a couple. I haven't been able to see them all yet, but I have checked out a couple of his videos. Fun stuff, kind of neat. Area of the country, the places they get to go hike, different than what I'm used to. So that's one of the reasons why I watch some of these YouTube channels. Is I'm here in California. There are some neat places to hike, but there are places all over the country that are just incredible and different from California. That it's just kind of fun to see different places that people get to go and hike and things like that. So check him out. That's Adventure in the Heartland is the name of the channel on YouTube. Really cool. So give his channel a look, and if you're so inclined, give that channel a subscribe. You can also find him on Facebook. He's got a page on Facebook like I do. So do that, please. He's also given me a shout out, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's fun when different YouTubers can kind of get together and support each other, especially for fun subjects like hiking and things like that. There's no real competition there. The more the merrier. A rising tide lifts all boats, as they say. So let's have some fun with that. So check out his channel, Adventure in the Heartland. And as far as an intro, that's kind of what we're looking at for right now. So we're going to move right into this week's hiker topic. So here we go. Okay, in keeping with my spirit and new goal to try and keep these under 20 minutes if I can, I'm going to try not to ramble on. I've picked a topic that is fairly straightforward, although I found out, looking at the post I made on Facebook in a hiking group, that even this topic, hikers find a reason to argue over it. It's just absolutely amazing. It's just I am blown away at some people's propensity to argue over anything, even if you semi-agree with them. You just kind of put a, hey, but be careful about this. Even that puts some people over the edge, and they want to argue and argue and argue that no, their exact opinion is the only opinion acceptable, and there is no buts, and there's no, but also watch out for... It's ridiculous how many hikers will argue over the dumbest things. Just silly, like last time, even the term 0 day. There were some hikers online I have seen arguing over what that means. And you would think 0 is pretty self-explanatory, right? Yeah, no, they still find reasons to argue over that. So anyway, this week's topic is first aid kits. Now right off the bat, some of you might think, well yeah, some people are going to argue, don't even carry one, you hardly ever use one. And some people say that, and they don't really argue it. most people I see say that, and there are some who say that. Don't carry one because I've never used one. They don't tell others not to do so. They're just saying that that's just for their reason. It's just extra weight for them. They've never had to use it. Me, myself, my opinion is that's one of those items that I would rather have and not use than need and not have. And so I always carry, and I suggest you do. Again, do what you're going to do. You know, I'm not the hiking Gestapo. I'm not going to make everybody do it. But I suggest that you carry at least a moderate first aid kit that should, I'm sorry, that should include just basic stuff: bandages, wraps, some antiseptic of some kind. Leukotape works really well to cover things. Crazy glue can be substituted, although nowadays they have actual stuff you can get from a pharmacy called New Skin that you can spray or rub on and things like that, and that's fine. But crazy glue works just as well for small cuts and things like that. And then I just emphasize the fact that training is big. Go out and get trained in basic first aid and things like that. If you have access to a wilderness first aid course, see if you can get on that. Now, some of those that are offered out there are expensive. They are. They're good courses to have, but unfortunately, there's a lot of companies out there that have turned it into a kind of a chance to soak some money, and so they are expensive. And having been a first aid instructor, I can tell you it doesn't cost that much to put on a class once you've been doing it for a while. The initial equipment, if you're going to be using like all the different stuff and things, yeah, that can be a bit of a cost. But some of these courses are upwards of, for a couple of days, you know, $400 or $500, and that's kind of getting ridiculous. That's my opinion. It's just that's just too much for what I'm thinking for a couple of days of a class. A little over $100, yeah, that's reasonable as far as I'm concerned. But again, that's from a person who used to teach first aid to first responders, and you know, the equipment was supplied to me and stuff like that. So, you know, there was no charge for it. That was part of the job. They had to be certified to work. So, you know, we would do that. But anyway, that's my suggestion: is do carry a first aid kit. I always carry depending on what I'm doing. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on with my throat. Depending on what I'm doing, I will carry for backpacking, a small size first aid kit, probably about yay big. Okay, and it's going to have just basic stuff, you know, basic like ibuprofen or Tylenol, antiseptic wipes, bandages of a couple of sizes and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to needing big stuff, like if I'm going to set a sling and things like that, well, that's why I carry stuff like a buff or a bandana or things like that, because those are for backpacking. It's really good if, as much as you can carry tools and things with you that have more than one use. If what you're carrying can only be used for one thing, then that's kind of just some weight and space in your pack that is kind of not wasted, but boy, you could make better use of that weight and space if that particular thing can be used. And you know, bandanas and things like that, that's just one of them. A bandana is everything from a sweat wiping rag to a sling, to sometimes a bandage, part of a tourniquet, all kinds of things to help you clean things with. Just, you know, there's multi-use there for that one object, and try to do that as much as you can. My dogs are going to decide to play now because I'm out here filming. But as much as you can, the tools you're carrying should have more than one purpose, as best as you can. I mean, there's just some things, there's nothing you can do. For the most part, I mean, your hiking shoes are your hiking shoes. That's what they're there for. You're not going to be able to use them for much else but hiking in them. And trekking poles, well, trekking poles nowadays, you know, that's my old school thinking. New school thinking, trekking poles nowadays actually do now have multiple uses. I've seen trekking poles used, number one, as a steady arm for filming things. There are quite a few tent setups now and tarp setups that use trekking poles. Trekking poles can be used in first aid as a splint or temporary thing like that. So, yeah, trekking poles, multi-purpose. So there you go. But that's the big thing, is try and get your tools to be multi-purpose as much as you can. And that goes for your first aid kit as well. Keep things in your first aid kit. Like, a lot of people consider their first aid kit also their emergency situation kit. So they'll carry, a couple extra matches in there and stuff like that. They'll keep it in a bag so that it's fairly waterproof and things like that. But just my suggestion, do carry one. Like I said, as I've said in so many hiker homilies and other hiking videos, be prepared, and that's one way to be prepared. Is if you've never used that thing, you've taken it out on 5 trips, and you have gotten it out exactly 0 times, well, good. That means your trips are going really well, and you don't need it. Awesome. But if you decide on the 6th trip, I'm not going to take this thing, and that's the trip that you're walking down the trail and don't see a root, fall, and you've split your knee open very badly, it's bleeding, and you have absolutely nothing with you to help stop the bleeding and maybe take care of the pain so you can get out and get treatment for it and things like that. That's on you. You didn't bring the stuff that you would need. So have it, not need it is okay. Need it, not have it, that's not good in some cases. So I would suggest you carry it. And like I was saying, it depends on what you're doing. When I go car camping with the family, and we're going to be there with my whole family, and then maybe the extended family is going to be there. Sometimes we'll go camping with the extended family in these nice places, and we'll have 2 or 3 campsites, and there'll be 20 of us there, because we've got my wife and her sisters in this camp, and cousins over here, and all these folks are with us, and we're in these attached campsites and things like that. I'm going to have a first aid kit this big. I'm going to have a big first aid kit. It's going to have everything in it, because you never know what you're going to need for that kind of group and activity and stuff like that. When I'm backpacking, it's a little first aid kit. It's basically for me or maybe one other person. If I see them hurt on the trail, I will have basic things and stuff. And speaking of basic things, I am going to put a list. It's going to scroll across the screen of suggested things you should carry in a basic backpacking first aid kit. Okay, and so don't take this as the gospel of this is exactly. If your first aid kit has a few of those things and not all of them, or a little bit more of those things, hey, that's fine. You're doing it your way, and that's okay. As long as you're carrying one, that's a good idea. But you don't have to carry all the things. You don't have to, these are, again, suggested. It's scrolling across the screen. Just suggested. This is the kinds of things that, you suggested you should have in your first aid kit. So, first aid kits. Yes, I suggest you do carry one, even for day hikes, simple stuff like that. You should have just basic ones with you, and kind of key it to what you're going to be doing. If you're going to be day hiking for 5-6 miles on a fairly flat trail, you won't need much of a first aid kit. If you're going to be backpacking for 2 or 3 days in the backcountry of the Sierras, maybe a little bit more involved of a first aid kit just in case. You're going to be through hiking for thousands of miles for months. That one kind of goes back and forth. Again, a basic backpacking first aid kit would probably be just fine, because you will be able to resupply it if you have to, like you do your food and things when you get into towns. So you don't have to carry a whole bunch of stuff just in case. You carry the little things you need, and then should be able to, okay, I've used this Band-Aid and that from the first aid kit. You'll be able to resupply that when you get into town. So that's my take on first aid kits. Hopefully it's a little bit helpful for those of you who haven't thought about it. If you're beginners and thinking about it and things like that, you should carry one just in case. And with some of the basic stuff that I had up on the screen there, should do just fine. So, first aid kits. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you in the next segment. Okay, since I haven't done some in a while, I'm going to do a real quick hiker terms. Speaking the old hiker lingo, and I will give you 2 simple terms that are used a lot. Again, this is primarily in through hiking. You don't do this too much. I mean, you can if you want to, but really the big, it's usually the through hikers that use these terms, and that is the term Nobo and Sobo. For some reason, most of the big trails, the famous trails, especially the 3 that are considered the Triple Crown, the PCT, the CDT, and the AT. Those 3 trails are considered the Triple Crown for through hiking. If you complete all 3 of those, you've done this amazing Triple Crown thing. And they run north to south or south to north. Okay. And so we get the terms Nobo and Sobo. And so basically, if you start one of those trails in the south and you head north, you are northbound, therefore a Nobo hiker. If you start in the north and you head south, you are southbound, and therefore a Sobo hiker. And that's really the magic of those terms. That's it, Nobo and Sobo. And I have not yet heard, they may use things, because I know there are a couple of trails, a couple of large trails that go east to west, west to east, okay, instead of north to south. And yet I don't very much hear the term Weibo or Ebo used. They might be out there, I just know they're not regularly used because for whatever reason, when the National Scenic Trail system was kind of set up, the three big trails that were keyed in on by not just the National Scenic Trail folks, you know, the Department of the Interior that set that up, but the hikers themselves keyed in on three north-south trails, and that just became the big thing. The big thing is the Appalachian Trail, the Continental Divide Trail, and the Pacific Crest Trail. Those three are the Triple Crown, and they run north-south. And so you can either hike at Nobo or Sobo. So yeah, as far as the east-west stuff, the terms might be there. I just have never heard them used anywhere really, because there's a couple of trails that are big trails that go east-west, and yet I don't hear those terms used that much. The big terms are Nobo, Sobo. So remember that if you hear that. And like I say, you can use that if you want. There are plenty of shorter trails that go north-south, and so yeah, I'm day hiking today. I'm going from the south to the north, so I'm Nobo. Yeah, go ahead. But really, it's a through hiker term, usually describing, which way you're going on the big trails. There you go. Nobo, Sobo, northbound, southbound. Those are hiker terms for this week. And that pretty much concludes Hiker Homily for this week. I think I got us in close to 20 minutes. We'll see how I did. I don't know. But I did get the intro, a topic, and hiker term in there. Hopefully you're enjoying the different formats I'm kind of playing with for Hiker Homily, and you enjoy the subjects I pick. Again, as always, if you want to hear about it, I have a list of subjects I want to do. But if there's like something specific anybody actually wants me to talk about that you've heard about for backpacking, hiking, any of that kind of thing, let me know either in the comments below. You can get a hold of me at hikingforhealthca@gmail.com. You can get a hold of me on Instagram under that same name. I have a Facebook page under that same name. So there's several ways to get a hold of me. Just leave a message and say, hey, for your Hiker Homily, I'd like you to talk about this subject, or what do you think about that? If you want to make a comment on anything I've covered in the past, or even in this video, you leave a comment on any of the videos on what their topic was, and hey, I agree or disagree with it because of, I will see that, and sometimes I'll address it here on Hiker Homily, or you can, again, the emails and things like that, just let me know, hey, in Hiker Homily number blah blah blah, you talked about this, and here's what I think about that. That's perfectly okay. And as always, I just want to thank you very much, those of you who are watching and keeping up with me. I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you so much. And there's a lot of hiking channels out there, so take a look around, enjoy them all, and hopefully you see some merit in mine. And I know there are some people watching, and I see folks watching through my Facebook and Instagram channel too, and that's really cool. So thanks so much, as always. And also, as always, we'll see you next week.